podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You're listening to Achtung, Millwall.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung, Millwall, number one Millwall podcast, broadcasting to you from beautiful South Bermondsey. Well, East London, actually. But anyway, you know what I mean. My name is Nick Hart, and I'm broadcasting to you today ahead of tomorrow's crucial away fixture at the MKM Stadium in Hull City away tomorrow. The Lions going to tomorrow's away fixture sitting in fourth position after the midweek results. Middlesbrough, of course, winning the other night. Ipswich winning, annoyingly, the other night over Hull City, who we face tomorrow. Lions are fourth, as I say, 62 points. In front of them, Ipswich and Middlesbrough on 66 in that critical second position. Still 11 games to go, 12 in Ipswich's case. They've got a game advantage on us. And Hull City are just 2 points behind us in fifth. So it's a tightly packed race. There's a bit of blue water now between the top six and Southampton in seventh position, listeners. For Wrexham in the sixth spot on 57, and 4 points then takes you to Southampton. Now, obviously, a lot of football to be played, as all the game's pros will tell you. Be very guarded. Alex Neil will be very guarded in his responses. Sub 2 is not out of the question. We've got to go to Ipswich. We've got to go to Middlesbrough. We do need one or other of them to trip up and fall over, maybe a couple of times before the season's out. So probably playoff football is looking the strongest card. I was just reading Will Scott's column on the news at Den, dear listeners, and the Opta percentages gives us around about a 93% chance of playoff football at the end of the season and an 11% chance of top two. Make what you want out of that. It probably sounds about what I would expect, wouldn't it, you? Away tomorrow, 12:30 lunchtime kickoff. Incidentally, whilst I think of it, the Middlesbrough game on Good Friday has been moved to a 12:30 start, dear listeners. This is the tyranny of the TV channels that does this to us. Not much we can do about it, unfortunately, especially in the light of the EFL's decision or the vote, including Millwall, to expand the playoffs from 6 to 8 teams next season. I personally think it dilutes the whole competition, my own view, but I suppose, as once was said in one of our trade union negotiations about goodwill, you can't put goodwill in the bank and you can't put dilution, or, it doesn't beat money in the bank. I think that was the point that we drove at back then, and it would be the point that would be made quite sternly back to us now. I find it a disappointing move, but I understand the finances of the situation, and as one or two have said online, which championship club is going to vote against it? There won't be many. Next season onwards, that would have benefited in the past, wouldn't it? If we could have finished 8th and finished up on the fringes or involved in playoff football at the end of the season, that would have been a bonus for us. But as it is, we are sitting in fourth position, and we go with every expectation of getting a result at Hull City. This has been a real, a transforming season in the sense of, I'm thinking back to last weekend, dear listeners, that 2-0 win at Preston. We're going to places with confidence, and this is a giddy, heady feeling for any Millwall fan of a certain age, especially. Think of the times when we went away not hoping for a gritty backs to the wall, kick, scratch and bollock, smash and grab, as the news at then call it, performance. Now we're going to places, difficult places to go, as the cliche has it, and playing well. Incidentally, I'm going to tell you about a new hobby of mine, listeners. It's a hobby that doesn't take you very far in life, but anyway, it's a hobby. If you go onto Twitter, I post regularly on Twitter, as you probably know, and last week, when I was at Deepdale, I posted my post-match video and thoughts. I didn't have my little Laval mic, so it was just me speaking into the microphone whilst the view of the pitch and the players coming over to take their post-match applause. So there's that, and 2-0 win for the Lions, huge 3 points for the blah, 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 magnificent performance. That's all I posted of it. But if you go on to X, onto Twitter, and tap on the Grok symbol, which is their AI program, it'll give you an analysis of what was posted. It does it on all tweets, so if you are missing some aspect of what somebody's posted, or there's some context that you don't admit has passed you by in some way. It'll explain things to you. And I've become a bit obsessed with having the context of my own posts explained back to me by effectively a machine. I know it sounds sad, and part of me deep down does wonder whether it is a bit sad. But anyway, I've taken to doing that. So last week's post I've mentioned, PNE nil, MFC 2, huge 3 points for the Lions, magnificent performance, and a video. So I've asked Grok to analyse that post, listeners, just for the hell of it, really. And Grok's thoughts are that post from Achtung Millwall podcast celebrates a 2-0 EFL Championship away win at Preston North End on February the 28th, 26, crediting Ryan Leonard's first half finish and Luke Cundall's late goal from a Femi Aziz cross, with a 48-second video of stadium footage and an excited commentary. That's me, an excited commentator. The second point, this result propelled Mills within 1 point at the time of second place Middlesbrough, intensifying their promotion push in a competitive season where they sit third after 33 matches, now fourth, per BBC Sports coverage. Last point, the replies to my post capture fan elation, tempered by realism, echoing the "We Fear No Foe" chant. We don't chant that, do we? We fear no foe. Anyway, we'll let them off that. While the call for voicemails for my show fosters community engagement amidst rising playoff tensions. That's Grok's analysis of my post. It gets it about right, doesn't it? I think maybe we ought to chant "We fear no foe" wherever we go. I don't know, it might not work. I don't know. That was Dedge replying back with "We fear no foe." It's picked up from there. So that's my new hobby. You can do it too if you want. If you want to spend your life idling on Twitter, on social media, the death of modern society. There's another one. I posted a pint of Madrid, a picture at Preston Station. What does it make of that? Let's have a look at it. It's thinking, it's reviewing. My caption to the photo of the Madrid pint was "Go on then, cheeky chappy." I'm going to see what X makes of it. Let's have a look. The post serves as a self-reply, because I've already put myself with another pint in the previous one, from the Achtung Millwall podcast account, escalating a celebratory toast with a photo of Alma de Madrid beer, humorously amplifying the "Dare We Dream" sentiment about the team's championship playoff push. It was posted on February the 28th, 2026, amidst Millwall strong form. It echoes ex-captain Sean Hutchinson's recent endorsement of a top six finish, surprising fans given the club's history of near misses in promotion races. The single reply nods to podcast host's off-air antics. That's me, my off-air antics, underscoring the tight-knit Millwall supporter community's blend of optimism and insider ribbing during a pivotal league phase. That's all from fucking AI, listeners. There's going to come a day where you don't have to listen to me anymore. You just listen to AI. They might even have AI playing the game the way it's going. That's all that was a picture of a pint of lager with "Go on then." That's my post, and that's it. Got all that out of it. Incidentally, podcasters out there, all the other Mill fans, I'd give you this material for nothing, because I'm the Berners-Lee of the den, Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the internet, and I pass it on to you for nothing. Make of that new facility from Grok what you will, and you can have it on me, on Nick. There we are. So then, listeners, off to Hull we go tomorrow. Now, I can't make it up there tomorrow. I'm going to be watching it on TV. I was at Preston last week. I better make it to Hull now, for various reasons, personal. But I will be watching it on stream. I haven't seen yet the travelling support. I did see that we'd sold out our initial allocation, and I'm going to expect that to be near to 2,000 up there. Because of the frenzy that Grok has identified amongst the tight-knit Millwall support. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm going to review now, dear listeners, some comments from previous shows. And also a big thank you to everybody that replies to the posts on Spotify and on YouTube. Keep them coming. It's nice to get feedback from people. And first one, I've taken shots of both YouTube and Spotify, but these ones are from Spotify. This is from Markud. I don't know if that's how you say it. MA_KUD. Markud. Might be getting that wildly wrong. I don't know. talking about the win at Preston. A great job. One thing I still think we should put Kramer up front if ever we are down with 20 minutes to go. I reckon he'd be as good as Tony Cascarino up front, says my good. He seems to be able to play anywhere, doesn't he, listeners? On the wing, kind of, on that kind of wing back position, right side, right back. He played central last week at Deepdale. Up front, I suppose, if we needed to go chasing. But then I've seen Jake Cooper going up front in our time, haven't we? So, anyway, I'm sure Alex Neil will keep that in mind, my good. But thank you for the response. I do appreciate it. Sea Lion. So this is praising the 2-0 win show. Top-notch show as ever, mate. Come on, you Lions. Back at you, Sea Lion. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Mark Willoughby says that Mike George, who was on our guest last week, is spot on. Firstly, we're much better run now. We're being much better run now than in 1988, the famous promotion season, of course. And secondly, the new fitness coach, which is, I can never remember his first name, I'm going to call him Mr. Northeast. Mr. Northeast deserves much more credit than he's getting. I remember the dewdrop in Fordham Park. Oh, this is a different point, sorry. Let's dwell on the fitness coach for a moment and we'll go on to Fordham Park afterwards, listeners. Injuries have seemed to have dropped off somewhat, haven't they? We were afflicted with injuries at the start of the season. What were we doing back then? Certainly at the moment, apart from Caleb Taylor, who missed out last week, hence Tristan Kramer moving inside to his more naturally favoured central defensive position. But we do seem to have, eased up. I do also read on News at Den that Will Smallbone is close to a return. So, things are starting to come together, aren't they? Are the stars aligning? Certainly Mr. Northeast's work is not going unnoticed. And I want to say thank you to Mark Willoughby for making that point, because I think it's an important one. We do seem to have improved. Touchwood, Rabbit's Foot, Lucky Heather from the Gypsies. We do seem to have improved on the injury front. Now, Mike makes a second point. This was my memory retro post that I did about the first ever game I went to in 1972, walking from New Cross Station through some old slum streets. I suppose you call them slum clearance, a bomb-affected streets, certainly, even then, in the 70s. And that became Fordham Park, the big park on the other side of Clifton Rise to New Cross Station, anyone that knows the area. The Dewdrop Inn does still exist, and Mike remembers the Dewdrop Inn on Fordham Park, but he didn't know that the park was cleared from slum housing. Yes, it was, Mark. Interesting show, he says. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It was. And I remember walking through those streets. I would have been 11, so this would have been 1972, as we said. There was only the odd house was still occupied here and there. One thing I do remember that's come back to me as I'm speaking is, I was a kid from the suburbs, wide-eyed at the kind of inner London thing when I started going to Millwall. Obviously, you lose that over the years, but at the time I was only young. And Mum and Dad had moved us out to the griefy lanes of Nottingham, to the woods and all that kind of thing, the fields. So anyway, going into central London, especially from New Cross to the Old Den, was quite an experience, really. But I do remember coming back from one game, it might have been that one, it might have been another one, where we wanted sweets and there weren't any shops around. So we were walking through those slum streets, now Fordham Park, now all gone. And we walked into what looked like a cafe. It was a cafe, but it was I now know it to be Turkish Cypriot run, and it was just like walking into a Western where the bar stops talking, everyone looks round at you. This group of kids walked into a Turkish Cypriot bar. They were speaking Turkish Cypriot dialect, I guess. And we went up to try and get a Mars bar or a Kit Kat from the counter. We did. But it was a conversation just frozen. It was if there had been a piano, it would have stopped playing when we walked into this place. And I remember distinctly the kind of the crescent moon flag of Cyprus, Turkey, in there, and the whole kind of cigarette atmosphere of the cafe. There we are. That's come back to me, that memory, as I'm speaking there. Thank you, Mark, for your comments. Another one here from Jeff. This is from a couple of weeks ago in reply to the Pompey, Millwall 1, Pompey, Neil 1972 memory show that I did. Jeff says, "Hi, Nick. This is the first time I've listened all the way through." Well, thank you, Jeff. all the way through. Maybe he switched off early previously. But anyway, listen to that one. That's a good start, Jeff. Sent to me by David Banks. Your references re Barry Bridges coming into the team and the team that played against Portsmouth reminded me that signing players did not necessarily improve a team. Perhaps we only got what we paid for. He's talking about Frank Saul and Derek Smethurst. Perhaps we got what we paid for. So he remembers both of those two players cost £20,000. Those were the prices of the time, kids. That was big money, relatively big money at the time. I never minded Frank Saul. He was around the club. He never really made an impact in my time, as I remember. I do remember Derek Smethurst getting slated. One of the first impressions I had at the Old Den was people's willingness to dig out their own players. And Smethurst was in the team but never held down a place, so to speak. Getting slaughtered. I used to stand on the Coldblow Lane terrace when I first started going, and then progressed round to the seats and sometimes onto the halfway line. If I was flush, I'd go in the seats. More often not on the halfway line. But I do remember the wags of the crowd digging out Derek Smethurst, South African player, if I remember rightly. And as Jeff makes the point, they didn't cost us much. By modern standards, they didn't anyway. And then the final point, George Hunt on the same show, 1972, seems to have touched a few people, this one. Lovely show, Nicky says, and it made me think about my first game at the Den back in 1960. Wow, George, I can't compete with that one, mate. I was born in 1960, October the 10th. So your first game then, Jeff, was about 2 weeks before I was born. Wow. We got fresh 7-1, of course, but I fell in love with our Lions that day, up the Lions. It's strange, isn't it? I mean, I was lucky to see the kind of hint of success, although it would finish in heartbreak that particular season. It was the near-miss promotion season. But what hooked me into it, because I could have gone many other places, listeners, it was a bit of a lug to get up from Nottingham up to the Den. It was easier to get to Charlton, to be quite honest, a lot easier. You're kind of there and back, much more one bus ride, you were done. Getting to the Den was a walk and a train ride, another long walk. It took effort, but something hooked me in that day. I'm so glad it did. So glad it did. But what irrationality is it in your life that says, I mean, many people are introduced to it by family, aren't they? The because my dad does thing that Merv wrote about. That wasn't me. I chose it. I don't know if that makes me even madder than those that have no choice. I don't know. On to some YouTube comments. I'm going to say a big thank you to Sean Campbell, who's a regular correspondent. Keep them coming, Sean. Keep them coming, everyone, actually. Great shout for Big Paul's 70th minute applause. Yeah, now this is, I'm waiting on a contact from the son of the Millwall Online character, Big Paul, who's very sadly passed away. I've had a friend of his email me because I did a little tribute. I mean, I've never met Paul. I have to hasten to add this. An email from a contact of Paul's, a friend, asking if we would organise a 70th minute applause. I want to make sure with the family that they're okay with that before I go down, start, trying to bang the drum on online listeners. So more news on that if or when we get it. I'm going to leave it there, I think. Let's all hope the Nick Hart applause will be in the 90-plus minutes. So I see what you mean, Sean. Well, I'm still around yet. We'll get another 15 years of Achtung. Yes, I suppose. Your life expectancy is about mid-80s now, isn't it? 82, 85 is the average life expectancy, so that gives me a few more years yet. Hopefully, whether I'll still be podcasting at that age, I don't know. My personal marker is when my voice goes, and I'm listening for it all the time, listeners. You'll have to tell me if my voice is going, or if I'm starting to repeat myself. Am I repeating myself? Big thank you, Sean. That's very kind of you, mate. Alan Baxter says, as well as Lenny, I would like to see being played at right back. I would like to see Caleb back in the centre at Hull. Squeezed, aren't we? I mean, Ryan Leonard in right back did very well at Preston last week. Kramer's undroppable. Jake Cooper's undroppable. Zach Sturge, I think, has grabbed and should hold the left back position. So where does that put Caleb? On the bench, probably. Sad but true. Unless we, maybe the summer moves might sort some of that out. 2106 Summer says R.I.P. Big Paul. John Smith says Paul was a Bacon. I think that's Bacon's college boy. I think that's what you're meaning there, Paul. John, sorry. Spot on regarding the number of games played. This is from Shell God. This is after the 3-0 win over Birmingham. Spot on regarding the amount of games to be played discussion. We've done our job. Oh, it means, you can only beat who's in front of you. That's what I was trying to drive at. And get the points, and then it's over to the next man. Long way to go, but this Wall team is definitely different. I do agree. And then another one from Sean. The Pompey game, 3-1 loss, of course. Wasn't a bad day at the office. We just played shit. Sometimes shit happens. It's how you get out the smelly stuff, and that was it. That's when we beat Birmingham, is meaning. Couple more here. Gary Pike would love to hear me and Mickey do a podcast on saving the club. Is there any appetite for that, listeners? That was the AMS thing. I mean, can do if people are interested. It was all a long while ago now, and it was a stressful thing at the time. I will say that. If there's an appetite, let me know. I don't know. I don't want to bore people with old waffle about the old days. But you let me know if there's enough that say yes. Then I'll see what Mick's up to. But I don't know. We'll see. If the new business is Mark Cleary, if our new business model is to buy low and sell high, then Aziz should have gone in January. If we got offered many millions and a replacement lined up, then we should have done it if that was so, he's saying. Some of the fee could be set aside for stadium expansion, wow, because 18 to 19,000 would mean soon we'll turn fans, customers away, and if they go elsewhere, they may not come back. Do people get, if you can't get in the Mill, would you go somewhere else? I wouldn't, but then maybe I'm a committed Millwall fan of too many years standing. I don't know. I think if we're going to sell players, it's got to be reinvested into the squad, Mark. That would be my thoughts. Stadium expansion, I don't know. If we get into the Premier League, it might be something that we think about. But I mean, it's hubris. How many clubs? I'm thinking of Charlton here. Look at some others that have gone up and fallen away. Even likes of Blackburn, Sheffield Wednesday. If you start overstretching yourself when you get into the top flight, it's a recipe for disaster long term, isn't it? So I don't know. I think I would sooner see money invested in players than the stadium, personally speaking. But that's a matter of opinion, of course. Flatchy32 says this was this was the one the Pompey 3-1 loss, much better podcast without the profanities of the previous one. He actually prefers Nick and Merv to Nick and Harry. Poor old Harry. I don't believe in, swearing for the sake of it. If it adds salt and pepper to your or vinegar to your chips, then it has its place. And we are at Millwall, but I think the only thing I'd say with swearing and relentless kind of Tourette's level F's and C's is that it can lose a bit of impact after time. I will admit that. But I don't put any restrictions on what people say. You've got to talk how you talk. And Jonathan Bowdery says, were you in the 1885 club? Did I mention that, listeners? Oh, yeah, I was. There we are. Big thank you to everyone for their responses. Keep them coming. I do appreciate the responses on Spotify and YouTube.
Achtung, Millwall.
Do send me your voicemails as well, listeners. I really appreciate those. I'm getting so many. After some games, you get so many. You have to split them into 2 shows. Might have to split them into 3 on occasions. But anyway, we'd do that. Spread them over the week. It's nice to get the content out there. So do keep them coming. If you want to become a voicemail contributor, what a heady place in life to achieve. Message me. I am on Twitter, X, at Achtung Millwall. You can direct message me, or you can email me, achtungmillwall@gmail.com. And what we'll need to do is exchange mobile numbers so that you can WhatsApp me a voice note. Now, there's an easy way. You can just record it on your phone and then send it over About 2 or 3 minutes worth is lovely. Anything over 5 can be a bit of a hard listen. 2 or 3 is ideal, if you can. I'd love to hear from you, and I know that they're popular shows, and you bring in different opinions and different people's takes on the show, so on the game rather. So that's all wonderful stuff. Now then, listeners, just moving along. So I've actually listed out an agenda here. Can you believe this is professional level podcasting, isn't it? I found we used to have a little feature in Coldblow Lane magazine, which is Millwall Mentions, and it's surprising how many times our name gets mentioned as a figure of speech, particularly the catchphrase that no one likes us and we don't care. So you'll get like leading economists from the World Bank or something advocating a Millwall approach to economics where no one will like you but you don't care. You do some unpopular move or something, and you see it in all sorts of places. We used to have a collection of Millwall references. I haven't done that for a long while. I might try and do it now. This is where websites, formal websites or newsletters or magazines mention our name in passing. And this one's from the Cricketer, Essex County Cricket Club, and it asks, are Essex the Millwall of county cricket? I don't know. No one liked Essex? Do they care? I don't know. There's a link. I haven't looked at the article. Couldn't get into it, but it's behind a paywall. Former England all-rounder Derek Pringle speaks to James Coyne about the history of his old county, asking if Essex are the Millwall of county cricket. What do you reckon? Is any county cricket fans out there? The Football League paper, which he always mentions us because it does a reportage on all the games. A great newspaper, by the way, Football League paper. Neil's Lions, this is after last week's game at Preston, incidentally. Neil's Lions are ready to roar. So often the Championship's nearly men. Alex Neil's Millwall are daring to dream that now that could be finally their time, says Hugo Varley. A 3-0 midweek mauling of Birmingham, courtesy of goals from Femi Aziz, Tristan Kramer and Jake Cooper, added further zeal to a promotion push that is threatening to trigger a footballing earthquake in South London. But the Lions boss is determined to keep the fire burning on his side's charge up the table. We want to make waves, and we are doing that, Alex Neil told the Football League paper. When we're on our game, he says, we can beat absolutely anyone. There is certainly no ceiling on our expectations, and when it clicks, we can be such a force. That's Alex Neil. Goes on. I won't read the whole thing. He doesn't. One bit that I did pick out is, I don't think much about drawing matches or consolidating. It's about winning. Getting those 3 points and moving on. It's a brave and relentless plan, but when it comes off, the end product is fantastic to watch. It is fantastic to watch, dear listeners. I've got to say, I've really, really enjoyed the football this season. For that reason, we're not settling for drab draws, are we? We're going for it. And that's from the Football League paper. Excellent paper. That's an article, and there's the match report. Preston 0, Mill 2. Ryan Leonard roars for the Lions in a top win. And Preston boss Paul Heckingbottom, that's a great northern name, Paul Heckingbottom, had no issues with the result because we were better, he says. Starman picked out Femi Aziz. Alex Neil, speaking about the Preston game, says, I feel sorry for Preston with the fact that it's really difficult to get the ball moving on that surface. The pitch was pretty ropey. It was a bit old, 1980s pitch. I don't know why. Whether the sunshine doesn't get to it in the corners. But it was right down the middle. It was pretty rough. Alex Neil said it basically becomes a second ball game, and to make sure you defend well, you have to get ahead of your man, win the duels. It doesn't make for great viewing, if I'm honest. However, it's the same both sides. And we don't want to use that as an excuse. Well, it is the same for both sides. It was we certainly handled it up there very well. It did make for a difficult passing game, put it that way.
Achtung, Millwall.
There we are, dear listeners. That's the my little run through the menu of what's going on right now ahead of tomorrow's trip to Hull City. Now then, we normally like to look at a fixture from the past, don't we? I'm asking you when you tuned into the show. You must be aware of that already. So I've picked out one. The obvious game with Hull City away for any Millwall fan must be always, forever, will be 1988. That win up there that gave us the promotion and the championship of the Division 2 at the time, wasn't it? Promotion to the top flight. But I've not picked that one out. That's always an obvious one. I've picked out instead another win. I try to get a win in for the Lions if I can do. This is a game from 2011, April the 2nd, to be precise. Hull City 0, Millwall 1, in front of 19,852 at the KC Stadium, as it was called at the time. Now called the MKM Stadium. A win for the Lions, a goal scored in the 33rd minute by Steve Morrison. I've got the team lineup here for you, dear listeners. David Ford in goal for Millwall, Tony Craig, Jack Smith, remember him? Going to come back to him. Paul Robinson, Darren Ward, Tamika Makanda-Wire. There's a name that doesn't get mentioned often enough. I used to love Tam. And James Henry, another great player. Andros Townsend, Liam Trotter, Kevin Lisby and Steve Morrison, with subs Hamur Bouatsa. There's a name from the past, Hamur Bouatsa. Embarrassed himself by playing with short sleeves and gloves on at the Den. That's one of the things you just can't do. He came in for Kevin Lisby in the 75th minute. Craig Eastman, there's a name that I'd completely forgotten. Craig Eastman, remember him, listeners? Anyone remember him? Came on for Andros Townsend in 87 minutes. Put a booking for Morrison on the 77th minute. On the bench, Steve Mildenhall, Craig Eastman, we've mentioned, Scott Barron, Chris Hackett, Josh McQuaid, Hamur Bouadza, and Neil Harris. All played in 2011, the end of the 2010-11 season, a 1-0 win for the Lions. I just had a quick look through the Hull City lineup. Now, we don't cover them, obviously, but I did see Jay Simpson's name, so I'm going to come back to Jay Simpson later on in this show. He played, obviously, for Millwall, as well as Hull City and a few other clubs. So keep him in the back of your mind at the moment, dear listeners. I've got the match report from the BBC, which I will read out. Hull 0, Millwall 1. Millwall helped their championship playoff hopes as they beat Hull courtesy of Steve Morrison's 16th goal of the season. The Welsh striker latched onto a Liam Trotter pass and expertly dinked the ball over City keeper Brad Guzan after 33 minutes for the eventual winner. Morrison skied a shot, and an Andros Townsend free kick went wide as the visitors looked the more threatening. David Amu had a late Hull chance, but his effort was saved. Millwall leapfrogged Hull with the win, but are only a point ahead of their rivals. The Tigers remain in the hunt for a top 6 spot, but will have to improve on this performance to maintain their playoff hopes. So that was the 2010-11 season. Let's have a quick look and see where we finished that season. It was the first season back after the triumph in the playoffs from League One at Wembley over Swindon Town, of course. So this was our first season back in the Championship under the management, of course, of Kenny Jackett. We would finish 9th in the table, so we wouldn't. We'd fall short, 67 points in 9th position. Nottingham Forest claimed the 6th playoff spot there and 75 points. So we would have still missed out even if it had been expanded to 8 back then. Listeners, Burnley would have nicked it from us that particular season. Top scorer in the 2010-11 season was only one man possible, Steve Morrison. 16 goals for us. And after that, it was very much a Morrison show. After that, it was 8 goals for Liam Trotter, 5 goals for Jason Punchin, there's a name, and James Henry. But yeah, as I say, we would finish in 9th position, and it was a sense of consolidation, having been promoted from the League One playoff system. So I've picked a few players out from that Millwall side there. First one I've picked out is Tam Makanda-Wire, but a defender, played with us from 2010 to 13, 53 games and 2 goals. Born in Malawi in 1983, his career took him places like West Brom, Hereford, Leyton Orient, joined us in 2010. Then after I think he was injured from memory. Did he break his leg or a severe knee injury or something? Then he went out on recovery, loaned out to Southend, Shrewsbury, and then on to the USA with Tampa Bay Rowdies. This is from Neil's book, the A to Z of Millwall players. Tam, a quiet and unassuming England C international, that's a non-league England team, helped Hereford United win promotion into the Football League and was twice Player of the Year. After joining Leyton Orient, he earned a reputation for being one of the best central defenders in the country. He was a good player. Millwall got him on a free transfer after his Orient deal ran out, and he was named Player of the Year in his first season at the Den and picked up the award at Brisbane Road. Tam never really recovered from a bad injury, joining Southend, where he played in the Johnston Paint Trophy final. And at the time the book was written, he was coaching for the LA Galaxy. And I've done a little check on Google just to continue on the kind of where is he now aspect of it. He retired from professional football in 2018. Tam has transitioned into coaching, broadcasting and fitness training. He's broadcasting for the Tampa Bay Rowdies on their YouTube channel. He works as a performance coach, performance training, holding certificates to train athletes across various major leagues, including the American NFL, the National Basketball Association, and Major League Soccer. He holds a UEFA B licence and is working towards his A licence. He's based now in the USA, in Florida. So yeah, Tam Makandawiri, great player. And one of those players that you have a slight sense of loss, because I thought he was just, hitting his peak and his stride with us before injury took him away. But that's the cruelty of the game, isn't it? He's played at England's C national team, as we've said. Second player I've picked out, Jack Smith. Again, a player that was one of those utility players that performed a useful function, probably never excited anyone, cruel way to put it perhaps, but was one of those functional players that you just need in your side. We've had quite a few. I think of Shane Ferguson when I say that, but certainly Jack Smith was one of those players that would go anywhere, gun for hire type of thing. Defender, 2009 to 2014, 122 games for Millwall. This is from Neil's book. 2 goals in that time. Born in Hemel Hempstead. His career took in Watford, Swindon, Millwall in 2009, AFC Wimbledon in 2014, and then into non-league of Hemel Hempstead 2015 and Wealdstone. He was a younger brother of Tommy Smith, a Watford player, and Jack graduated also from the Watford Academy before moving to Swindon Town, where he won a League One promotion in 2007. After being released by the Robins, he joined Millwall after impressing on trial, becoming arguably the most reliable and versatile player operating at centre-back, left-back, right-back and midfield. He would play anywhere, wouldn't he, Jack Smith? He helped Millwall win a League One playoff final against his former employer Swindon in 2010. And 3 years later, he played in the FA Cup semi-final defeat to Wigan. Jack is now a property management consultant and an estate agent with his brother. And there's a report in the Watford Observer. He's gone into business as an estate agent with his brother Tommy Smith and Jack Smith. So I want to wish him all the best. JW & Co. Langley's estate agency in Bushy Heath, apparently. Good player. I like Jack Smith, but he wasn't a star, but he was one of those water carrying players that you build good teams with, and he had quite a lot of success in his career actually for a player of that level. Now, finally, I've picked out Jay Simpson. Although he was in this game that we're looking at, the 2011 1-0 win for Lions. He was actually on the bench for Hull City. Jay Simpson, forward with Millwall in 2007 to 8 and 2011 to 12. 62 games over 2 spells and 12 goals. Born in 1988. He came to us from Arsenal, didn't he? That's right, Arsenal. Forgot that. 2007, Millwall loan. West Bromwich Albion. 2009, QPR. Hull City. Back to Millwall on loan in 2011 before going to Thailand, America, the Philadelphia Union, and playing briefly in Cyprus, near Salamina in Cyprus. A former England youth international, Jay was a product of the Arsenal youth system and was the first player to score a hat-trick at the Emirates Stadium. I didn't know that. That must have been very soon after it being opened. He was loaned to Millwall for some first-team experience in 2007 and was voted Fans Player of the Season for League One. His second spell came on deadline day in 2011, and after that he was sold to Hull City. Jay helped Hull win promotion to the Premier League in 2013, and 3 years later was named in the PFA League Two Team of the Year after finishing Orient's top scorer. He's now playing in Cyprus. That's from Neil's book. Again, did a Google check on him. Since retiring from professional football in March 2023, Jay Simpson has focused on coaching and mentoring. He currently works with the Chelsea FC Academy as a performance mentor. EPM Elite, that's his own company, a private coaching firm, providing specialist training, and previously worked for Spurs in a mentoring role. I also briefly played for Welling United. I don't remember that. This was in 2023, before retirement. There we are, dear listeners. Three very different players there. Tam Makanda-Wiri, Jack Smith and Jay Simpson. Forever Lions to coin a phrase. I'm going to reel this in there, dear listeners. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of a tapas, a smorgasbord of a show. Hope you've enjoyed it. I shall be watching the Lions on the road tomorrow at Hull City on Sky TV. Huge shout out to everyone that's going up there. This is you feel the sense of building excitement and frenzy. We've got midweek games at home to Derby, and then I think it's Blackburn next Saturday. So I shall be at those two games. Big shout out to everyone travelling tomorrow. From me, Nick Hart, it's going to say Arrivederci Millwall. Thanks for listening to this. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Achtung Millwall. All profits from our show benefit the fabulous Lions Food Hub, helping families in the Essex 16 area. Until the next show then, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Those who want to watch.